You gotta be above it all. A formality, but appreciative. Eye contact, not too much. Thank you, sir, but don't kiss his ass. Don't be nervous. Walk in a fucking no rate, walk out of Moscone. Then what, huh? Yeah.
What's this, the second coming?
None of your fucking business.
It's so easy to hate you, Donnie.
Go fuck your mother.
This is him. Joey the Kid, an actual man in front of me. I give you this knife. Nice knife. Expensive. Made by hand. Means something, huh?
Thank you, sir.
Sir. This kid here, mark it down. Gonna be the fucking champ. Now go get out of here. Get laid. My treat. No!
Fuck! Joey, what the fuck?
Yeah. Got me at your mercy. You what, you running? Where you gonna go, huh? How far? 100 miles? Ain't nothing we can do, you walk out. Hey.
That's enough.
I'm taking Katrina's share.
You take what I give you.
So when can we do this again? You used me? You fucking used me?
What the fuck is this? Who eats vegetables? Don't see my soup. Silverware's dirty. And my glass is empty. First aid tuts?
Yes, it is now that you mention it. So what about you spin the narrative to make lemonade of the process?
She's speaking in tongues over here.
What she means is take it easy, Marco.
Aw, that's very sweet of you to provide a translation for the cantankerous mobster. But in the meantime, talk among yourselves for consolation because I'm very overwhelmed and my future looks bleak in this industry.
Whoa. Take it easy. Do you remember me?
Yes, I do, which is why I prepared my defense at a moment's notice. Because you want to take me out as revenge for my lackadaisical bedside manner, probably.
I do want to take you out.
Then we got a duel to the death in this seedy joint. Which, you know, is very fitting for someone of my general demeanor and low rent sort of vibe. Ah, Rocco, that's very sweet of you, because I'm withering in your mesmerizing gaze already.
Where have you been my whole life?
Scraping by in general misery with bouts of suicidal depression and sporadic episodes of self-harm. But this is my big break to get in tight with the mob. So what about you get some coke and sniff it off my quivering body in a sensual manner?
I need an A-ball.
The fuck's an 8-ball?
I was gonna ask the same thing, but didn't want to speak out of school.
Coke. You got any Coke?
2 bills for my man only. 3 bills. I misspoke.
You know, I'm very anxious because this is my first drug deal gone awry. Ooh, what about you take me hostage and you come in guns blazing, I think in slow motion probably, to sweep me off my feet and live happily ever after with a brood of beautiful children. Ooh! But wait, because Rocco and I gotta put our heads together to establish a schedule for our conjugal visits. But in the meantime, I'm gonna get a reprieve from the warden, due primarily to your headstrong demeanor and standoffish sort of vibe. I'm gonna turn you into internal affairs because they're gonna put you in the books and send you back to officers candidate school to examine your customer service.
Knock yourself out. Sky Egos with a G. For I don't give a fuck.
Well, what about you give me a business card in case it slips my mind, because this day has been very eventful and I'm behind the 8-ball on my blog entries.
Just like that. One Benetti down. I like your style, kid.
Aw, that's very sweet of you.
Next up, this prick named Joe. Real scumbag. He's gonna love you.
Yes, but listen, because I gotta capture the moment for our prosperity. What about I get to be a deputy with a loyal German Shepherd by my side as we fight crime and clean the streets once and for all? Please, get to the point.
You mean, what do I want? Everything, just my size. Shame about Rocco, though. Real nice kid. You needed him.
Minor inconvenience.
Don Monscone and 3 of his minions inconveniently found dead. Got a suspect, though. Real good-looking guy. I think he's Italian. He'll probably do life. Oh, does that upset Widow Baby?
I suggest you exercise caution.
And I suggest you realize who you're talking to. I'm the law of the land. God, I never liked you, such a fucking cunt.
While our initial encounter was, I think we can agree, anticlimactic, I find your general demeanor to be intriguing. So what about I pick your brain, because I'm very interested to learn how you ply your trade.
What trade is that?
Hitman, which, now that you mention it, it is not so much a trade as it is a calling. But in the meantime, tap dancing around my discovery only bolsters my case.
You don't have a case.
What about Rocco Bonetti, for example? You have a stalkery, sinister sort of vibe, not to mention very murderous eyes, which, now that I take a good look, I find to be intoxicating, and wonder, have they fallen under your spell already? So listen, what about me and you become partners? Because as I gain experience, I'll gradually take on more responsibility, so you can concentrate on your legacy with a succession plan in place, which is vital to maintaining a competitive edge.
I'm about to lose my patience.
You're about to lose your independence. My early suspicion is that our general target's going to be the Moscone family, probably. But if we were to commence a revolution that shakes organized crime to its very foundation, which would of course include the Bonettis for obvious— Oh! Giddy up. Andale. Or maybe arriba.
I'm just anxious because of the significance of what this relationship means to me personally and professionally. But due primarily to the chemistry you and I have developed, I know everything's gonna be unforgettable.
Or I cut you into 100 pieces.
Yes, but in the meantime, I've come up with some fun and innovative kill lines, so let me tell you my stabby puns.
Aww, that's very sweet of you to gaze at me so adoringly.
You think this is a game?
Sweetie, please don't interrupt me, especially with such a ridiculous cliche, because what I thought of is that I gotta get a code name that precedes me, such as the Blade, for example. So what about I get to have your Sabenza and you see me in action to draw some inspiration?
Put that away.
You know, I've always had a rebellious streak, which, now that you mention it, it came full circle when I recently discovered that I'm a revolutionary. So what about we have a knife fight to decide my autonomy? Sweetie, you're about to meet your maker.
You're about to meet your target.
She has a suburban homemaker with a chamber of horrors in the basement sort of vibe. But what's so stabby about her necessarily?
Camilla Moscone. Housewife / hitman.
Sweetie, I was imagining a very reasonable murder fantasy, but you said hitman, so now I gotta go back in. But in the meantime, hit woman or hit person, please.
I'm gonna kill her. No, I'll take that bitch for all she's fucking worth.
I think I'm gonna be sick. Can I use
Down the hall. Put a fucking hit on me? I'll eat her fucking heart. I should have absorbed her in the fucking womb. Checazo putana.
Sweetie, do you have some advice for me? And you know, a translation may be helpful.
Putana means horse. Super horse.
I just had an epiphany. Or maybe a catharsis. I always get those confused.
killed someone.
Yes, I did, but she was someone only in theory, then just a victim in practice.
There are no victims.
Oh, sweetie, that could be our slogan.
Aw, sweetie, I always catch you. But listen, what about we pledge our lives to each other? Which, though it feels a little culty when you put it like that, demonstrates commitment to our mission statement. So, well, I mean, I'm working on a draft, but listen, on a personal level, I mean, well, I want to say it, but then I'm rendered defenseless, so I'm gonna plant the seed here and let things develop organically. Sweetie, I just thought of what about Some Lives Matter? Oh, we could get a website with our mission statement in bold, an About Us section that lists our credentials, moderated forums, and a blog. But then, you know, we gotta get a legal department to draft our privacy policy.
Blue-eyed blonde, nature's dumpster.
Our mutual friend took 15 to the chest.
Which friend is that?
She had too much cash in her car.
The ass on this chick is cotton candy.
Well, that's very sweet of you, but, you know, if you were to minimize your rapey disposition, your compliment may carry more influence in the long run.
All fours, you pass for 12.
Hope you didn't do anything stupid.
Oh, lips made for Facebook. Come on. Get out.
This won't take long.
Come on.
I know.
I'm cool.
Shut up and listen. No trophies.
How the fuck am I supposed to explain this?
Most importantly, how do you explain that this is my second murder in as many days? And at this pace, I'm gonna become a legend in no time. But in the meantime, you know, I'm still angry with you. Gallegos, I almost had you. So what about you sift through the evidence? Because now, our cat and mouse game has begun with my decided advantage.
Throw me a bone.
Give me your hand.
How's this a bone?
You're still breathing.
When he screams my name in the throes of passion, don't take it as an indictment on your soul. You may get there one day.
I suspect you may be troublesome. Sweetie, I gotta wonder, were you and her very serious? Like, me and you serious? Because she has to manipulate you into killing my husband so I get the insurance and you get life in prison sort of vibe.
Insecurity is unbecoming.
What about you be straightforward with me, or that's the only thing that becoming? Ah, sweetie, I almost had you.
Kershaw Link, a very reasonable substitute for when Gallegos loses your shell in the evidence room, due primarily to an eclectic blend of shoddy bookkeeping and apathy, probably. But what about maybe a hidden Sabenza lurks in the shadows like a scavenger hunt?
is very aggressive of you.
500.
No frequent flyer discount?
Where's your punch card, Jimmy?
What punch card?
Pardon the interruption, but you know, we have some rather solemn and unseemly business to attend to.
You look like a fucking tampon. As cute as my balls. You better get an ass full of fuck.
You're looking to get a heart full of stab!
Bitch, what the fuck?
You're a badass bitch. Oh, that's very sweet of you to erupt in a course of spontaneous feminism. But in the meantime, what about you collect your self-respect and contribute to society and gainful employment? Because, you know, the tax base is withering away at an alarming rate, and every little bit helps. You know, this is very awkward because who speaks first?
This is awkward because what the fuck?
I wholeheartedly agree with that emotion, but in the meantime, the end of the road is forthcoming, so what about you?
What's wrong with you?
I have some peculiar predicaments I'm currently exploring now that you mention.
Oh, God, just fucking shot me.
Yes, but now that I take a good look, that's, I think, highly subjective, so I'm gonna wait for the coroner's determination. But, in the meantime, let's get to the heart of the matter, which, based on the progression of events set in motion, you can agree is a clever bit of wordplay, probably.
What the fuck are you supposed to be?
A harbinger of doom, probably. But now that I take a good look, I don't want to distract you from the confusion of puberty. So what about you tell me what you want for Christmas, and I'll put in a good word with Santa.
I'm gonna put in a good word in your ass.
Sweetie, can I stab him on the way home? Because I'm really hitting my stride.
Time to step back. Watch from a distance.
Yes, but sweetie, I was very efficient, stayed relatively clean, and now that you mention it, as comebacks go, both the Heartful of Stab and the Christmas theme were very witty bits of improvisation.
Let things develop organically.
Sweetie, are you awake?
No.
Yes, but you know, if you wanted to release the tremendous burden you carry and alleviate the palpable tension that exists between us, I'll provide a forum where you feel safe to unpack this very affectionate moment and, using your own words, come to terms with what it may mean to the development of our relationship.
Victoria Benetti, your Lord and Savior. Take a deep breath. Soak me in.
Until only recently, my life has been very sad and uneventful, and now this.
The Benetti family is populated with genealogical mishaps, from stem to stern. I've earmarked 7 for you, from low to mid-level. Not too intimidating. Relish the symbolism. And you, mentor, you have 10. With 8 floaters, possibly 9. Distribute them to your liking, but be equitable, unlike you've been thus far. Start with a classic.
Rocco is more trivial than timeless, but in the meantime he's locked up, due primarily to pushing the right buttons.
He has stellar counsel.
Well, what about you give me his or her information? Because, you know, a revolution may at some point require savvy legal representation, in-house or on retainer.
Eliminate your targets, Moscones, and then the Benettis. Or do life. Please, caucus.
I'm already formulating a plan, but I wonder, maybe it is stupid.
I'm sure it's not stupid.
Aw, sweetie, I almost had you. So listen, first I'm gonna stab Victoria. Though, in the interest of brevity, I'm gonna get her a code name. I think maybe Vita.
She's my responsibility.
But murdering identical twin sisters is a record, probably, which I could list under my credentials on our website.
We're going to Don Benetti's, and you're going to kill him.
Yes, but maybe do you think that's a bit advanced at this stage of my development? Due primarily to his years in the game and an expectation to be murdered by a trusted family member when he never saw it coming, probably. Trina, you gotta snap back to reality. Vita, come back to the light.
This is snug. Nice work.
You know, I wondered, is it tight enough? But I didn't want to cut off your circulation because it is a fine line, apparently.
Oh, stretto. Come la tua deliciosa figa.
I suspect an innuendo due primarily to your femme fatale by the numbers disposition. But in the meantime, I'm gonna ask very nicely, where's Joe?
Who's Joe?
Hey! What?
Don't.
What about I punch the other eye and leave you baffled? Where's Joe?
As Oliver Wendell Holmes once said.
Give up the goods or you may experience some slight discomfort forever.
You and I, we could run the family. Killer Queens, like in that song? Don't get upset. You're doing so well.
Can you tell me your hypothesis on what might happen next, probably?
You gaze into my eyes as your warm and curious tongue brings me to rapture.
That's very sensual, due primarily to the eye contact provision, but let's not get distracted.
915 Oak Ridge Drive. 2350 Montclair Circle.
Because you lied, I'm now presented with a dilemma. Or maybe a quandary. I always get those confused.
No one lies with a knife in their business.
That sounds very plausible. So what about you offer me some proof?
How do you intend I prove it?
I'm just starting out, you know. I don't have a massive pool of relevant experience to draw from for situations like this.
Which is why I've been so encouraging.
And your positive reinforcement is a solid foundation to build on as I hone my skills. So, 2340 Montclair Circle?
2350.
You saw through my ruse.
It was a clever ploy.
Your flattery reeks of insincerity, so I'm gonna stab you in the heart to relish the symbolism. Sweetie, look how clean you stayed. Ooh, sweetie, I gotta tell you a fun part of my latest adventure because when I was torturing Vita, it's a placeholder but also the frontrunner.
She tortured you?
Yes, but listen, I tied her up but wondered, was it tight enough but not?
You tortured her.
Yes, sweetie, let me tell you. So, in addition to my concern, are the restraints sufficient? There were circulatory issues to address with a high school anatomy degree of confidence, which is to say dubious at best. But listen to Vita's comeback.
Oh, estretto, come la tua deliciosa
Viga. It was suggestive, I think, because that's Vita's general demeanor. But maybe instead it was an old world blood oath, and I'm just curious to hear the translation.
She said, "Oh, it's tight. Like your delicious little pussy."
Aw, that's very sweet of you. Vita, you gotta seize the opportunity. Now, how about one to grow on?
In light of recent events, where do we stand vis-a-vis Venetti's and Moscow's?
Why are you asking me?
See, that's the kind of gritty, hard-nosed decisions the chief executive officer has to make. It's not all glory, you know.
I don't have time for decisions. I'm too busy concentrating on my legacy.
Sweetie, do you have some advice for me? And you know, a translation may be helpful. Putana means whore. Stupid whore.
Victoria, you cunt.
Don Benetti. Likewise.
So, you're the little whore.
Wait, you're out of focus. Can you start over? And action.
Set of balls on this one.
In the meantime, you know, we're rolling.
So, you're the little whore responsible for all this agitation.
I have a name for your information.
Boys, you hear that? This whore that you're gonna fuck to death, she got a name.
Good one, boss.
Put that bitch on a leash.
Oh!
Now it's time you answer for Rocco.
Which one first?
Surprise me.
You may be asking what just happened.
Dead Benettis happened.
And if you wonder why we would kill Benettis, it's because they're mobsters. But let's drill down to the bedrock.
They had it coming.
Like Moscone family members who tempted fate, maybe inadvertently, but still remain currently deceased at the moment.
Thus, we address those who have it coming in all walks of life as follows.
What about you decamp to environs more suited for your abhorrent sensibilities, or suffer the consequences, but maybe instead with other esoteric instruments of death, such as this exquisite Sabenza, for example, now that you mention it?
We invite you to visit somelivesmatter.com for an interactive guide which will assist in determining your eligibility and outlines your obligations and responsibilities thereof. Thank you.
And cut! Okay, so let's first rifle through their pockets to find sentimental possessions, then deliver them to conspicuous places to be found in embarrassing positions.
The Benetti family have nearly $2 billion in cash reserves.
Ooh!
If I were to access, say, all of it.
Vita, I'm very glad I neglected to murder you, despite my best intentions, because I anticipate me and you on a personal level becoming trusted confidants who share an unspoken bond that will never be broken. But still, I'm very loyal and not attracted to you in that way necessarily, probably because if you caught me in the perfect storm scenario, I would be putty in your hands.
Let's table this discussion for morning.
That's code word for I'm ovulating, so you know, the situation is very pliable.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. But I was just now having a murder fantasy where I had octopus arms and was about to stab 8 people simultaneously. So what about you let me go back in?
We're over 3 million views. 1% clicked, become an affiliate.
But Vita, did you hear octopus arms?
That's over 30,000 applicants. Imagine we expand our horizons to the universally despised, gangbangers, politicians, pedophiles. It could become 3 million. Our army.
And action! So these are vicious gangbangers whose crimes against humanity you can uncover when the police release their names by the time you see this. But in the meantime, they're gonna live in infamy.
A sympathetic wing was raided this morning in Detroit. 19 arrests.
That's very distressing. So what about you arrange for their bail and assemble a legal team to litigate the city into bankruptcy as a show of solidarity for our oppressed brothers and sisters?
Fucking children.
So listen, what I thought of, Vita can be the chief financial officer and head of procurement. Trina, you can handle the...
Why is Vita CFO?
Because along with legal acumen, grace and elegance that are unrivaled. Ooh, Vita, what about you get a webcast?
I have a degree.
And you should be very proud of your accomplishments, but Vita has a commanding presence in the courtroom, probably.
We could host a meet and greet.
Ooh, like a proper housewarming in which guests can bring unique gifts with local flavors. Or a potluck so our girls can work the crowd instead of sweating over a hot stove all day long.
There's 100 groups and counting.
Then what about we get a tract in Wyoming or maybe Montana? Which, you know, is big sky territory due primarily to minimal infrastructure, lack of opportunity, and intemperate climate probably.
We could build a killing field.
Or a torture barn reserved for politicians, specifically hypocritical righteous avengers who espouse family values.
Trina, you know, I initially found you very controversial, but now that I take a good look and peel back the layers, I find a kindred spirit after all. Sweetie, I gotta tell you about our beautiful daughter, who I wonder is maybe gonna be a librarian, but, you know, with a hefty dose of street knowledge, because overdue books are no laughing matter. Sweetie, what about you tell me what's going on in that analytical head of yours that's losing you precious sleep, which, you know, is fundamental to maintaining a healthy work-life balance?
Detroit.
Yes, but what about the Motor City, now that you mention it?
We don't need vigilantes. We need a mission statement.
Have you noticed anything unique, or more precisely, not unique about our victims?
There are no victims, so you better not contradict our slogan, or I'm gonna give you a demerit and put you on probation. Aw, Trina, I almost had you. So what about you fill me in, unless you want to volley my witty banter, because I'm game.
They were all white.
Yes, but you know, that's just a drop in the ocean due primarily to statistical insignificance.
What if we were to encourage applicants who are, shall we say, disenfranchised? They claim up their own communities, we're not sullied by the unpleasant optics of encroachment, and we diversify our organization with fresh perspectives culturally and ideologically.
I'm very impressed by your spiel. And when we take over the House and Senate, your silver-tongued persuasion will be very consequential. But in the meantime, what about you take the lead on our diversity initiative, because you won me over with your foregone conclusion.
Okay, so first, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to dig into the framework of our revolution, with special thanks to our diversity and inclusion czars, Vida and Trina.
Michelle Lee from Miami Beach. I was wondering...
Konnichiwa to our Asian American representative, and arigato now that you mention it.
Thank you. I was wondering how many members will give us a fighting chance?
Our minimum recommendation is 4, as you can clearly see before you.
We have 63.
What about you get 6 more?
So 69?
Bonita Ramirez from Sacramento.
Hola, Bonita. We are very pleased to have a Latino American contingent, regardless of immigration status. Gracias.
All right. So, we are looking at killing some local legislators. Those sons of bitches are bleeding us dry. But we're not sure how to proceed.
Well, you know, our playbook says first eliminate local mobsters to create a power vacuum in the hierarchy, which gang members will seek to fill, but you're gonna have some news for them.
Which is, you take them out.
Yes, because now you have eliminated 2 very abusive elements and will garner the support of the people who only want to live their dreams and be free at last.
Preach the right, Reverend. Hey, y'all. Antipathy Jones, representing the district.
Big ups to my soul sister in arms because, you know, urban renewal is contrary to gentrification. Holla!
Wait a minute. Sorry. Adam Goldman. Manhattan. 230 strong.
That is a very impressive squad to wreak havoc on the stranglehold of your people in print, television and social media, the motion picture industry, financial sector, legal professions, higher education, and the diamond market now that you mention it. Wilhelm.
Mazel tov. So, do we go mob? Gangs? Elected officials, or just mix it up?
That's the best recommended practice to strike fear into the hearts of those who are protected by the system they utilize to enrich themselves and their cronies. And also, you gotta throw in pedophiles into the mix when the opportunity arises.
That sounds daunting. Are you sure 69 members are enough?
Yes, because Miami Beach is, I think, ripe for revolution in the dry cleaning and buffet restaurant industries. So Asian American children can maintain their rigid discipline to study in a safe environment, which is what we aim to accomplish in the long game. Sweetie, you gotta be done by now if you know what's good for you.
In a minute.
You better not be hiding a devilish grin beneath that gruff mountain man exterior when you think I won't notice.
Come on, Dad. We gotta show you.
What about you marshal your adrenaline, bear down, and split the atom as a show of recourse?
Visualize. See the arrow where it lands. Let the field develop organically.
Jojo, you just postponed my revenge in a very clever twist of fate.
Ooh, what about we dispense with the pleasantries and get a sneak preview of what's in the bag?
Christmas in July.
That's wonderful, because you know the Santa Claus myth is growing tired.
How was the Sunshine State in the springtime now that you mention it?
He was in California.
Yes, sweetie, that's what I said. Because I wonder, do you even listen? And maybe I gotta put you out to pasture.
You better not.
Oh, Vida, threatening to murder Daddy is a term of affection that brings us closer in an intimate setting, probably.
Florida's a sunshine state.
What about when I become president of America? I issue a decree that they gotta do a switcheroo. Because this is very embarrassing in front of my children, and I gotta remain infallible in their eyes, even if only retroactively.
Benita has it under control.
She has an idea. Expand into Canada.
Ooh, sweetie, think of the bacon.
Ooh.
We took a day trip. They're ripe for revolution. Made lots of friends.
Well, you know, you're a very warm and approachable sort of type.
Yes, but now that you mention it, what about you present a detailed account of your adventure and don't leave anything to chance?
It's a beautiful day. How about a picnic? I'll tell you all about the maple syrup.
Ooh! But in the meantime, while preparations ensue for this lovely day of extended family gatherings, what about you go and play with sharp and stabby objects?
Looks like fun.
It was moderately enjoyable at first, but you know, when you master the basics.
All right. Here. Now the salesman said, when the sun's just right, you can see the future. Let's find out. How's this for an intimate setting?
Sweetie, I was just now having a very omnipotent murder fantasy in which our beautiful children... Sweetie, you know, you're very emotionally unavailable in this tender moment, and I'm about to unleash a temper tantrum at you because spiritual vengeance is the moral of the story.
This kid's crime was being 18 and dating a 17-year-old with overprotective parents.
But sweetie, you know, along with scornful glances from the local population and difficulty finding housing and a fruitful career path, his actions carry grave consequences, which is the four-headed monster of justice present at this table.
You don't think we should evaluate each case on its merits?
Aw, Trina, that's very sweet of you to live in a world with rose-colored glasses which have no effect on the outcome of the revolution.
Universally despised should be universal.
But we gotta take a bird's-eye view and squint into the distance to see the forest for the trees.
A 22-year-old TA slept with a high school senior.
The right guys made the list.
Sacco and Vanzetti were guys.
Vita, this is where you say touche probably, because now I'm very torn, due primarily to the conflicting wisdoms of my trusted advisors and the enormous pressure I put on myself to pull this great nation of ours from the pits of despair.
Sounds like someone needs a massage.
Oh!
No.
You might find this interesting.
Well, what about you, Samurais? Because, you see, I'm up to my ass in alligators. But in the meantime, you could address me as the Blade.
The Moscowans and Benettis called a truce.
Oh! What about we throw our plans to the wolves and engage in wholesale slaughter with extreme prejudice in all general directions?
No. Katrina has to go.
But sweetie, she and I have made tremendous strides in our burgeoning relationship, and our torture barn hangs in the balance.
But in the meantime, you know, I'm gonna drive you like a rodeo clown.
So you like to stab people?
Yes, I do, now that you mention it.
Stab him.
Whoa, what happened to Charlie?
Shut the fuck up!
Chief, what about the reward and the promotion?
Fuck the reward, fuck the promotion.
Let's just take a minute to discuss this.
I will Damn! The next motherfucker, I have to tell to shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! What a shitty way to die. I can't imagine the emotional toll.
Motherfucker! What the fuck did you do that for? Put the guy out of his misery. All right.
Bravo. Let's get this over with.
It's over. We take him in.
Then I get Porter's share.
Okay, so I mean, we maybe killed some people in bloodthirsty manners, but you know, they had it coming in the grand scheme.
Yeah, and you're the people's champion.
Yes, I am, because you know, the cream rises to the top for the betterment of humanity.
You think you're the good guy?
Yes, but let's not get subjective, because you know, the consequence is a better world where people are free to live their lives to the fullest.
And you decide who gets to live.
Yes, because someone had to take corrective action to contest his climate of fear combined with toxic masculinity, probably. Whereas our revolution is founded on mutual trust and respect, which we find to be an empowering and supportive environment which contributes to the growth of all who seek refuge beneath our umbrella.
You miscalculated. Both of you.
But Trina, you know firsthand, he's a hard man to lasso, due primarily to his aloof, free-range personality, much like a sailor whose first love is the sea. Sweetie, you look very pale and cattywampus. So what about you take a breather while I win them over via shrewd negotiations?
You're not gonna talk your way out of this.
Yes, I am. So listen.
Do I get a chance to speak? I got 3 kids in school, sick all the time, and my copay goes up every year. What are you gonna do about that?
While I have aspirations to very soon become a parent myself, I am, I think, in tune with the terrifying insecurity that what about I may be an inadequate primary caregiver.
I'm just fucking with you.
And we encourage that type of spirited debate because we're very interested to learn how the family unit can prosper reasonably unencumbered from the short-sightedness of prior generations.
Make 70K. Just crack 100 with a shitload of OT.
Yeah, and with taxes and buying the diapers and daycare, I mean, how's a family supposed to prosper?
What about you give me an example of a salary sufficient to provide basic creature comforts while affording discretionary spending for adventures or home repairs and renovations, mostly kitchens and bathrooms probably.
Think you can buy us off?
Yes, because $500,000 to start, plus healthcare, profit sharing, and opportunities to maximize your growth via education reimbursement packs a punch.
So we just kill everybody and take their shit.
While that's a gross oversimplification, ignore at your peril hundreds of unofficial chapters anxious.
Hundreds? I heard 7.
I heard 6. Are you counting Detroit?
No, I heard 7 as well.
That's lies and propaganda Trina can refute since she kept the sheets.
Am I the only one with self-respect?
Is that what you call it?
And all will share in our initial public offering, but in name only because, you know, we gotta remain privately held. So crucial decisions can't be subject to the whim of a board who might sacrifice our core value for short-term interests.
They killed Taylor, one of your own.
I didn't own the bitch.
I didn't think she was gonna last that long.
But in the meantime, things are coming to a head, and I gotta have my power animal by my side to seal the deal with complimentary spenzas for everyone.
So what, we just go back? We put our asses on the line for a measly $500?
Pay your dues and move up. It's the process.
The process is taking suggestions from those hairy-chested wops with those stupid Italian horns. No offense.
Hey, I suggest you avoid 14th Street.
I suggest the Alfredo.
I suggest the veal with the Parmesan.
Have you ever seen Don Benetti eat? Take your fingers away from that fucking clown show.
I know, it's always pasta this, pasta that, then I gotta eat pasta too.
Could mix a salad in there every now and then.
And what if I want something light for lunch, you know? I don't want my shit packed up for a week.
What about you call in a favor to get us some emergency medical care on the sly? Because if you gotta dig 2 more holes in this sweltering heat, there's no telling where it's gonna end. Vita, you be at peace now. Sweetie, I'm very affected by all that's happened because the notion of death, while romantic in theory, is a bummer in practice when it hits you in the heartstrings.
She would have killed us in our sleep.
Yes, but she would have woke us up so we didn't miss it. And now she'll never get the opportunity to turn our noble grassroots organization into her glorious empire of personal enrichment and global domination, probably. This is a sad state of affairs for an impregnable fortress, but you know, a coat of paint will liven up the joint and bring it back to respectability. This can be our interrogation room. Or, because it has a timeout chamber sort of vibe, maybe a re-education center where the enemy can be alone with their thoughts to contemplate the error of their ways. We could put a light that radiates an increasing amount of heat over a very intimidating table, which we can pound emphatically at key moments.
And maybe we could wire the light with external controls to dial in intensity.
Trina, you and I could play good cop, bad cop, and enter very theatrically. Or maybe with a splash of comedy to keep it fresh. Oh, what about we get a laugh track?
You took everything from me.
Yes, I did. So what about I reach across the aisle in a spirit of bipartisanship to get you a photo shoot you know you always wanted? Because I wonder, did we just find our new cover girl? What about we install a flat screen to play pre-recorded psychological messages of our faces, enlarged and frightening, like a Big Brother sort of disposition?
Yeah. I've got an 80-inch flat screen. Right there.
Sweetie, I see you're brimming with a spirit of revenge, but you gotta learn to bide your time and tame your impulses. You know this could become very tedious, so what about you tell me what's going on within your subconscious that you can't deny and warrants discussion, probably?
They can't get out. They'll accept their fate and all bets are off.
Yes, but sweetie, you know, the train to Pound Town is pulling into the station right on schedule.
3 men and Katrina.
I'm very proud of you for keeping your virtue intact because I admire your pluck at reconciling with your destiny.
Vita's gone, I'm gone, and for what? I pray for hell, for eternal damnation. Eternity is too short. I'm sorry.
Aw, that's very sweet of you. But that ship has sailed, and the future marches on to the beat. So what about you serve your penance before a captive audience?
I have nothing.
Sweetie, you know, despite all these writings of wrongs, a vital part of me remains empty, and I wonder, can it ever be filled? But if you were to tell me something in particular, it could maybe stem the tides, probably.
If you tell me something first.
This is very awkward because my competitive edge compels me to beat you repeatedly to capitalize on my momentum, but my natural defenses say hold my horses.
Nothing funny about the Moscones and Benettis teaming up. They formed a full-fledged corporation called Fuck You.
While that's very catchy, I gotta wonder, will half the target demographic be taken aback by the blatant vulgarity?
You're the target demographic. You taken aback?
Yes, because without a memorable slogan, it's an uphill climb in an oversaturated market. But in the meantime, tell the Moscones and Benettis to get their act together and come up with a doozy.
And what about the Grimaldis?
Ooh.
Novellos? Pistellis? Mancinis?
Oh, sweetie! You better strap in and prepare for the ride of your life.
Now I say we find everyone that they ever loved, make it real gruesome, real public. And then we kind of make it kind of slow and sexual like, you know. Hey!
Point of parliamentary procedure, Your Honor. Because you're out of order while we're on the subject. We're here to make amends, so please, in an orderly fashion, proceed with introductions and hearty handshakes, though I suspect they may be indignant, probably.
Amends? You slaughtered my family.
Did a number on mine, too. And we're real big on vengeance.
That's very admirable, but you know the future is irreversible.
Your future looks pretty bleak in this industry.
Yes, because now that I take a good look, your ascension to the throne has not quelled your cantankerous nature. But in the meantime...
Oh! This broad. Already I'm sick to fucking death of her.
While that term may be endearing in racketeering circles, you know, I find it derogatory because society has made great progress.
How about putana?
I feel obligated to mention, though it should be implied, or maybe inferred, I always get those confused, that I'm mostly anesthetized to violence due primarily to hyper-realistic video games,
Hollywood action movies and the breakdown of the traditional two-parent family, probably. So who's going to be the prime example for their esteemed colleagues to emulate?
I believe I speak for my esteemed colleagues when I say, go fuck yourself.
Yes, but listen. Because while I'm very eager to murder each of you personally, our revolution is taking a great leap forward with our 5-year plan.
We got our own 5-year plan.
Then what about when we compare notes to address commonalities and discuss potential inefficiencies we may have glossed over?
Yeah, well, our 5-year plan involves you being tortured to death for 60 fucking months.
And what about instead, you put your heads together and pool your assets to reap considerable rewards for successive generations?
No, you're not walking out of here.
Yes, we are, so listen.
No, you dumb fucking whore, you left.
We all fire on 3. Or maybe we think of something else.
You can't get us all.
Bastelli, how's the view?
This plan is flawed.
Who needs a fucking plan? Blow this fucker's teeth out. I suddenly agree with Don Grimaldi.
Sweetie, take the reins. Because these curious pastries, which I suspect are native to the old country, are very alluring to my New World sensibilities.
Make your pitch, and it better wash the blood off your hands.
So what about we leave the country for greener pastures to raise our little family in peace and prosperity, and, in return, we won't murder your entire organizations in ruthless and bloodthirsty manners and put it on our website, probably.
It's a great fucking pitch. You ought to sell Girl Scout cookies with a pitch like that.
We have $2 billion of the Benetti's money. We keep $100 million, you split the rest.
We can't take the Benetti's money.
Fucking ain't right, you can't.
How much is that? Each?
380 mil.
No fucking way you're gonna touch a single cent.
With that kind of scratch, you could each get a state-of-the-art command post with amenities such as lakefront access to unspoiled wilderness, a cozy breakfast nook, and a spacious torture barn, now that you mention it.
They don't get shit. It's our fucking money.
Take a breather, all right? Have a cookie, do some fucking thing. We're just talking.
It was you? You take a breather?
I wouldn't be so impetuous.
He's one fucking guy!
I'm one fucking guy.
Up to 475. Anyone else feel reckless because a jump to 633 sounds exciting?
Giuseppe, your word of honor. No, your word of honor, your word.
You have it.
Aw, sweetie, that was a wonderful example of the compassion and sensitivity you've come to embody. So what about everyone secures their sidearms so we can dig into the minutiae for the seal of approval? But you gotta see the extenuating circumstances. Because it's 4-1 and Don Moscone is a very shady character who may erupt into spontaneity in an ambitious quest to become boss of bosses.
I gave my word, give yours.
What about we holster? Because the testosterone in this room is at an all-time high.
This was fun. We should do this again.
Yes, because we've only just begun down our path of righteousness. But in the meantime, I'm gonna bayonet the survivors because we gotta wrap this up and skedaddle before the fuzz pick up on our trail and break this case wide open. And action!
The feds got antipathy.
Stupid feds. But listen, because I gotta tell you my latest adventure.
She's on her way to Wallens Ridge.
Sweetie, please don't interrupt me. Especially when Jojo relays a message from beyond, where he stands among the cornstalks very symbolically.
It's a prison.
But sweetie, did you hear cornstalks?
A supermax.
Sweetie, my suspense is gonna make its mark if you continue on this ill-advised course of reckless animosity.
Fucking whore, you let down!
Our mutual friend just got 15 to the chest.
Took 15 to the chest.
What she did?
The soul sister and grab her hand. That's really aggressive. Oh my god, that's the poster. That's a love movie. It's a romantic movie starring lovers, extra lovers. Can I have your eyes again, Jillian? That is the poster right there. Yep, that.
Time to like step back and watch from a distance.
Oh god.
This would be so much better movie if you guys were actually like that.
No, I'm gonna drive you like a hurt rodeo clown.
Here I am.
Oh, I'm gonna drive you like a hurt rodeo clown. I'm gonna drive you like a hurt rodeo clown. I'm gonna drive you like a hurt rodeo clown. Say hurricane.
Suddenly agree with Don Ribaldi.
That's good. Lower them.
Army.
That's way too corny.
You didn't even open your eyes.
Yeah, you couldn't kill everyone. I like murdering people. It's fun.
Don't pet the talent.
I want to pet the talent.
I would like you to be in focus at least once this movie. Okay, there you go. Okay. This is your one shot. The whole movie we're gonna be in focus. We're all rolling, right?
Yes, I understand. I'd like her to be in focus. One time. Once a day, she gets to be in focus. This is the shot.
I'm gonna confer with the DA to get my story straight and testify against you.
Hope you didn't do something stupid.
I hope he did, and you set us up, but we give you the slip, and it becomes an international incident that's very embarrassing to the department, and the chief gives you a stern dressing down in front of your peers, probably.
Sweetie, wake up. We're in the midst of an impromptu strategy session, and I gotta have my power animal at maximum efficiency.
Your casual dismissal of what is objectively a considerable threat may be grounds for separate bathrooms and all that entails, because I wonder, have you lost your competitive edge? And I gotta wrangle proxy votes for a hostile takeover.
One of these days, I'm gonna get your Sabenza and stab you here. Or here, mostly as a flesh wound. Or here, because, you know, the rib cage would, I think, act as a buffer zone, probably.
Fucking A, use the whole fist.
Go up to the elbow you want.
Before you wax this bitch, why didn't you let me get a crack of that ass?
This was fun. We should do this again.